So the next panel discussion we have is Web3 adoption, strategies for mass onboarding. And I'd like to welcome the speakers to the stage. We've got Dorian from KuCoin, David from Web3 Foundation, Jonas from Binance, and Lucian from MultiversX, moderated by Alice Stork from ICL Communications. Please give them a warm round of applause. You can take the stage.
Is it your side? Yes. Is it your working side? Okay.
I want to get a pink one.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Alice. I'm going to be moderating today's panels on Web3 adoption with our esteemed speakers. Well, we know that Web3 is about decentralization, blockchain technology, tokenization, and actually, accordingly to latest report by Consensus, I checked the info, around 60 to 80% of global population are aware either of crypto or they share the concepts of Web3, such as digital ownership and protection of their digital identity, but only 24% are familiar with the concept that this is actually what Web3 is doing. So we'd like to discuss today what strategies we can implement towards educating the audience, regulatory concern, and was it too long? So let you to introduce you as
we do a short
Dorian.
introduction, personal, each of us first? We do a short personal introduction first?
Yes, please, Dorian.
So hi everyone, name is Dorian. I've been working with KuCoin for 2 years and a half now. I'm partnership manager and like head of business development for the Europe zone. So anything that happens between KuCoin and European companies, European local investors, etc., runs through me. So if you want to speak about something later on, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be available the whole day and tomorrow.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm David, working for the Web3 Foundation basically since the beginning. Everyone who doesn't know what this is, it's usually Polkadot and Kusama, that's the one that are listed. And I'm officially responsible for the grants program, the decentralized futures program, all of our funding initiatives and community management.
Good morning. I'm Lucian Mincu. I'm one of the co-founders of MultiversX, actually one of the technical founders. Have been in the space building different kind of technologies since I think 2016, 2015. Survived a couple of cycles here. I might be a dinosaur here in the space. But besides that, I'm really, really happy to have a discussion about what Web3 adoption means and how it looks like after, I think, 9 or 10 years in the space, and especially being part here of the conference and with partners from KuCoin and Binance. There's quite a story between us for quite a while. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, last but not least, my name is Jonas Jünger. I'm part of the European leadership team at Binance. I look after the DACH region and the fiat operations in Europe. Thanks for having me on the panel. Thanks for, very happy to be in Dortmund today. And of course, I love the colors of the stadium that we're in.
So if you were to answer at the scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give to current state of Web3 adoption? Maybe let's start with you, Lucian.
Yeah, I can make a start. So in Germany, where we are today, I think around, it depends on which survey you believe in, but roughly 5% of people own actually cryptocurrencies today. So are we at 5% adoption? Maybe not quite so little, because if you look at the amount of the population that has invested into shares and so on and so forth, also very small. But 5%, we still have a lot of way to go. If you ask me to give it a out of 10, if you ask me to rate it out of 10, I would say we have almost 200 million users now, We want to get to 1 billion, so 2 out of 10.
I think that comes very close to my point of view as well. I think we're still day one. Day one means when it comes to, for example, technical perspective, up until this point or up until those days, I think the last 1 or 2 years, the technology was pretty laggy, I would say. The bandwidth of the Web3 space was, especially when it comes to amount of transaction that could be processed, the security of the products and so forth, were definitely not there for a billion people to be onboarded. I'm happy, actually, almost happy, I would say, that we got another cycle to build stuff, prepare the infrastructure, prepare the technology for the next wave. And when it comes to that, I do believe that especially Binance and, of course, KuCoin, I'll mention it as well, but Binance did elevate the space when it comes to the retail part. I think I remember the times where it was before Binance, to be frank, and customer support, it was non-existent, zero. Like, for my point, for me personally, I think I once locked my funds into an exchange, like some other, I won't name them, but I remember it took me 1 year to reply and get back my funds. When Binance came, they changed everything. Now, when it comes to that particular segment, I do believe that not only the blockchain, the technology, the protocols, such as Multiverse, Polkadot, and so forth, would need to elevate the entire discussion, and they are doing that every day, but also in terms of the exchanges, they did a very good job. So from my point of view, we're still day one, still a lot to build, and really excited, actually, that there's so much upside looking forward. Thank you.
Yeah, I fully agree. Basically, I would also say 1 out of 10. Because I think we are just getting started. So you see people investing into cryptocurrencies, you see them using it for transactions, DeFi transactions, but that's basically it. And when you start looking at all the potential use cases like gaming, basically every use case where there's trust involved between different parties, blockchain could be involved. So I think there's a lot of potential that we are not using or just starting to use.
Okay, so I'm going to bring a bit of easy contradiction, so we have a debate and a bit of interactions among us. I say we are something like 4 to 5 out of 10, actually, because what is driving adoption more than everything in terms of technological advancement, when it's technologically intensive, when people actually need not to see what's happening, but just to use it, it's when you have institutional companies that actually use your tech and don't make it seamless for users. And what we're seeing right now, especially with the RWA narrative, so real world asset tokenization, for those who are still, who don't know, like all the narratives that we have in crypto, because we do have a lot of them, actually. So this trend is about taking assets in the real world and putting them on the blockchain and having a way to actually guarantee that what you own on the blockchain is backed in the real world. So with this narrative, we have seen that institutional investors and institutionals in the US especially are very interested, and they actually want to invest in it. They are investing in it. They want to create solutions around it, and we are like kind of witnessing that because we have been expecting it for a lot of time now. I mean, all of us, I guess. So we are, I think, on the verge of an adoption that's going to be much more seamless and more massive, because people who are actually investing in a traditional way will continue to do so. They will have joined us, just they won't know it, and we might interact only through the chain, only on chain, and yeah, so.
So what do you think would be the challenges to onboard more institutional and corporate organizations to use blockchain?
Would you like to start?
I think as a ecosystem development of Web3 Foundation.
Yeah, so I think the usual answer is regulatory rules that need to be more clear, and on the other hand, obviously also the technology stack, because that's something that we discovered. We had such a heterogeneous technology stack that allowed you to do everything, and basically, if you need to learn 3 years how to spin up a blockchain, it's a problem and difficult to do. But I would say something that's also relevant, and that might be even more relevant, is having these large corporations slowly picking it up and making it easier for everyone else. For example, Polygon, competitor to us, they convinced Starbucks to use blockchain, and this was pretty big, not because of just one company picking it up, but a large enterprise making it easier for everyone else to also leverage this technology. And I
Do
think
you have inside information how they managed to convince them?
something like this takes a very, very long time, and we are working on this on multiple angles, but it's not something that happens overnight.
So I think Metaverse had some successful partnerships with
Definitely.
corporations.
Maybe quite the opposite, I would say, from the Polygon story. I would say at the opposite pole, I'm very happy to say that, for example, several governmental institutions are building at this point on top of MultiversX. By the way, MultiversX, for those who don't know, was previously called Elrond network. So maybe that might clarify a bit of the context why nobody knows yet the new name. I would say give it just some time. But going back to the adoption part, so there's one specific thing that comes to mind that I've seen in the, I think, yesterday morning. So one of our partners was, which is Axelar Network, is one of the interoperability protocols, one of the most respected one in the space, has been chosen by Deutsche Bank to be their building partner for the 3rd year in a row for tokenization, for their cross-chain tokenization model or systems. Now, when it comes to that part, I do believe, like, especially regulatory clearance and clarity for is a no-brainer. Definitely, if I would be an enterprise or if I would be a governmental institution, without clarity, why would I touch? Why would I sabotage myself, right? So that's clear. Secondly, also very reputable technology, and also at the same time, as was previously mentioned, technology at its best is actually invisible. So until we make this kind of space, Web3 space, invisible, and it just works, I think we still have some stuff to build. We still have some stuff to look forward and push for. But again, going back maybe just for one more second to the governmental part, there are some very interesting points that I've been looking at, or I've seen those kind of governmental institutions trying to explore, such as, for example, one of them is managing the top-level domains, which is basically the internet domain services. And we have seen until this point the ones coming from the Web3 part, where you have usernames or hero tags or ENS or whatever that was called in different chains. But with respect to that, now coming from the opposite side, where the governmental official who manages for example, that DE domain would go and have the other way around, tapping in and migrating into an on-chain solution, that would be very interesting for me to see how it plays out.
Jonas, maybe you can tell us how your organization works with regulators and mass adoption strategies.
Yeah, I think the regulatory side is extremely important. Demonstrate the stability of the platform, demonstrate that it is safe, make sure that you adhere to the compliant regulation. For mass onboarding, we need more than that. Those are table stakes. Those are things that we have to do for sure. There is no question about it, but they're not going to bring us the 1 billion users alone. We need to do more than that. One of the key things for institutional players, we talked about institutionals a little bit, is stability and being able to scale. It's something that concerns all of us as well, because if you log into an exchange, you want to see your wallet balance. You don't want to see it offline. You don't want to see it maybe temporarily not showing your balance. You get slightly nervous, right? So you want to see that the infrastructure as an exchange that we are, the infrastructure of this new world is working and it's scaling accordingly. So if a new bull run is coming, we are ready for it and we scale for it and we don't get surprised by it and can't react and, I don't know, can't onboard new users. We have technical problems with stability. Like, we have to have the scalability under control, and a lot of institutional players, like all of us, expect that from good exchanges.
And so if you could make new users less intimidated about the whole crypto station, what would you do?
I would phrase it more broadly in terms of education, educating users and bringing users to this new technology. How do we excite people about these new things? And here something that we've seen is that it works quite well when you combine an education initiative or also a marketing initiative. But if you combine this learning and this new knowledge together with a new product or with a new launch pad which is coming on your platform, and you make people excited, you make people interested in what it is, and then they want to find out themselves, and then they go into the Binance Labs research report, they go into the Binance Academy, what's actually behind it, and then people can start, it makes it accessible for people to learn about new technologies, new layer 1s, new layer 2s, and so on and so forth. And the trick is to combine it with something that hooks people or that interests people, not in itself.
Was from experience of Binance, sorry, it's just like such a major adopter. What was from your experience? It seems like you're working on a lot of strategies all together. Was there a moment where it really spiked, like some strategy that was implemented that really like grew users by factor 10 or something?
Crypto general is very market driven. So, you know, in all fairness around our initiatives and things that are going on, it's very market driven. And if you see the market going up, you see onboarding users number going up, you see, so it's very market driven. But if you ask me about a specific initiative that was pretty successful, where we've seen this combination work well, is, for example, our Web3 wallet. We launched it. We were not the first ones, I must admit, but we rolled it out at scale, and we combined it with fast product launch, a lot of education around it. We broadened the ecosystem. We organize airdrops on it, like new protocols can do. It's more of an open platform, and it brought a lot of users. And then, going back to the stability and the product behind it, we needed to develop the product a lot more very fast, because you saw adoption, you saw users using it, but they wanted more. They wanted more chains. They wanted more. They wanted more security. They wanted different wallets. So we needed to keep up with the product development, and that was great to see, because you could see the adoption actually then increasing if you had more protocols on it and so on and so forth.
Interesting. David?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that maybe the Binance users are also slightly different from the protocol users in the end, because I think on the one hand, on Binance, we have these people that want to invest, that want to trade and so on. And what we trying to get now is to basically to onboard the users that don't care about this. So if we are working together, for example, with a gaming company, Mythical Games, that has this NFL game, and ideally people start using our technology stack in the background without knowing that it's blockchain in the front end. And yeah, that's the goal, I would say.
I would touch back maybe a bit on the Binance, just to add something more. I think because we as MultiversX or Elrond, we're both Binance backed from 2017, so we're part of the Binance family, so which I respect a lot and has proven to be perhaps one of the most helpful partnerships or ventures that we join and experience in the space. Also one of the most hardest ones when it comes to discipline and efforts needed. but I respect that a lot, and I do believe that on the one hand, they've been able to back this kind of, through their Binance Labs arm, to back this kind of ambitious founders, and which had the potential to bring even more user, even more adoption. That I think that was an angle that when I remember in 2017, they looked very specific. Does the project have the potential to bring and onboard the masses, not to just squeeze something out, not to just come to exchanges and take something from them out, because at the end, both of them, they want more users. And that was one very specific question that I was very rigorously pushed from the Binance, but also on the other side, they have this kind of launchpad product, which helped a lot, I think, in terms of onboarding a lot of the users to see some upside or some momentum there. Of course, combined with the positive market, that actually turned out, I think, for us, again, speaking from our experience, we were the second or perhaps the most oversubscribed launchpad ever on Binance. So with respect to that, I do believe there's a combination of that, which I think it needs to be mentioned, and it was a very good success from my point of view. But now coming to the part where, for our experience as well as MultiversX, we, for example, had also the export the wallet, which my colleague Alex was mentioning before, which is similar to, like it is a Web3 wallet. But also for us, it helped us to onboard more than 1.5 million users into our ecosystem in a very short period of time. But when it comes to that, the challenges that we've seen, me especially as a founder, was seeing so many of those new people coming into the space, believing in this, and then getting scammed by some third parties or some stupid hackers that try to get their private keys or some phishing links and so forth. That actually crushed my heart. Seeing we managed to convince people to come in this space, but if the infrastructure is not stable enough and powerful enough and secure enough to protect them, then there's all gonna go back to zero, unfortunately. But for that, we're not going back to zero. We actually solved that problem. We have similar security to a bank experience on a Web3 platform, which I invite you to test it out. And if you guys manage to, there's actually on Twitter right now a campaign with a wallet with the entire keys leaked with, I think, $5,000 in it. If you manage to take out the funds, it's yours. So just to prove how strong and solid it is.
Reward.
Yes, how strong we're pushing towards that to make sure security, user experience, and scalability. Thank you. Sorry to, I hope.
Dorian, was there any success stories?
I'll just
at
go back
KuCoin?
to institutionals a bit, because I think they are the ones who are making the most steps in our direction to actually meet us halfway. And actually what's interesting is that we have to have them stick to their habits. I mean, they are used to trading on capital markets which are liquid, which are have large incentives in terms of profits. So for the incentives in terms of profits, I don't think we have a problem regarding crypto in general. But it's true that in terms of infrastructure, for the liquidity, for the stability, as was mentioned by my colleague from Binance, we have had struggles in the past because it's a new market. And the actors that are joining now are much larger than what we expected them to be a couple of years ago. And because of that, what we are seeing is that there are kind of two layers now in the Web3 world. There is the on-chain direct approach, so with the DEXs, all this, where there are much less institutionals and their size is not the same, etc. And then you have the Web3, I would say, like centralized DeFi, as we would call ourselves. So with the exchanges, etc. And we are kind of the gateway for these institutionals to start having interactions with the blockchain technology in general. And this side is getting less and less chaotic, more and more stable. And so we are having opportunities already for mass onboarding of institutionals there. We are working hard for that to happen in this cycle, not later, like right now. So this is an aspect. And then for retail, it might take more time because in terms of retail, we have to make all the steps to go towards retail. It's not something that Retail will not come to us naturally. I mean, the early adopters will, but they already did. Now the ones that are still remaining outside of blockchain and crypto in general, we'll have to get to them eventually.
And so for these issues that you mentioned with liquidity or technical details, what are the key challenges from technical perspective of blockchain?
Well,
that
you have
hold that?
institutionals, they want to trade futures contracts, for example, and well, this means a lot of volume, something in terms of numbers, you're going to have billions of volumes a day, potentially. And to manage this type of volumes, you will need to have a liquidity providers, a whole setup actually of partners that help you to provide the service to these institutionals. But at the same time, how would I put it? If they don't have this, they wouldn't come. And what it does, after a couple of years in the industry, right now in these Web3 companies have been growing, what we're seeing is that we are raising barriers to entry on this market once again. Because at the beginning, the idea was that we are kind of destroying barriers to entry in the financial world. But since institutionals are bringing all these technical aspects and these infrastructure demands, then we are raising them again, because institutionals would not onboard on a top 100 exchange, for example. They would not find the liquidity there. They would not have the incentives to bring their capital and trade there efficiently. But they can do it on larger exchanges like ours.
Just wanted to add, you have the technical challenge around scaling the infrastructure and having that always ready. You have the liquidity challenge, but you have much more challenges when you talk about mass adoption. For example, we are in Germany. A lot of when you onboard onto a new crypto exchange, what do you have to go through? Most likely a video ident. If there's if there's a huge spike in traffic, people have to wait, and we don't want to be in a situation where the next bull market comes and then you tell all your friends to sign up for accounts, and then they have to wait like half an hour for a video agent. That doesn't work. So the scaling is on the customer side is also critical. The next thing is customer support. I mean, we heard it, your experience, but of course, when more people use your platform, of course, more people ask questions. That means you need to scale up agents very fast, and you need to be ready for it, because otherwise people are going to go away and they're going to say, well, all of this doesn't work. What I quite liked in terms of scaling was we looked at the app downloads in the fintech space in Q1, and it's going to be obvious, but who do you think was even before Revolut and N26? So crypto, to some measures, is maybe even more adopted already.
So how do you feel this bull market is different? Maybe let's, can you give the phone away? Dorian, I wanted to ask you from the technical perspective in terms of interoperability and scalability, what are the initiatives that are now helping to provide this infrastructure for big players?
So what we discovered from, we mentioned already a lot of barriers to entry, and what we learned, the hard lessons basically, is that all the complexity, all the on the one hand of the technology stack, understanding that is a real problem, because it's really difficult to understand even if you are working in the space day and night. Following this, if you're not, is even more complex, and then making a decision of, is this bridge secure, or is it just another multisig, or does one user control everything in the end, and it's just called decentralized? That's a real problem. And on the other side, the standardization. So having different assets on different chains that cannot interact with each other, that you cannot transfer, different wallets, different clients, different apps. If you look at my browser, I have tons of extensions installed and so on. So that's another problem.
So how do we simplify this user experience? Is it the responsibility of Web3 companies to kind of work together to do it, or is it like users, they need to sign up somewhere?
It's
they
our responsibility. So we basically started out also with Polkadot and tried to make this super framework that can be used for everything, and then we discovered, hey, maybe not everyone wants to develop their own consensus algorithm. Not everyone wants to change every aspect of their chain. They sometimes just want to deploy stuff and it should work. That's it.
So
Maybe just to touch on, if it just came to my mind a very funny example with all those extensions. If you guys have used internet in the early days, do you remember the search bars or the plugins that you got installed by any software when you actually downloaded a piece of software from the internet? You got a toolbar. It was so-called toolbar. It kind of feels the same now with the Web3. So definitely I do believe, like, if we look at the internet, how it evolved, internet got a lot cleaner, a lot safer, hopefully. I hope it will still stay this way. But when it comes to the experience, user experience, I do believe browsers are coming closer. Like, if we look at the internet momentum, there were two parts. One is was the infrastructure, lowering the cost of any packet or message being sent and transported over the internet, which is our job as layer 1 companies, where I think both Polkadot as well as MultiversX does a very good job in terms of the scalability part. Especially, for example, in our case, Alex mentioned, my colleague mentioned before, we're doing and tackling the problem as the blockchain trilemma. This was the initial problem defined by Vitalik. We worked with Ethereum Foundation as well, with Polkadot Web3 Foundation as well, I think in 2016-17 on this problem. And we're very happy to say that we solved this, right? So we're launching, I think, next week. We're having a demo day for app chains, like similar to parachains, what Polkadot does, where we're kind of going to, I think, for one specific application chain that is designed for enterprises, with a performance of upwards of 100,000 transactions per second in a distributed setting. So just to go like on the technical side, that's perhaps what the layer 1s or the protocols should build and prepare for this kind of adoption if we want to see any meaningful one.
thank you. We have a few minutes left. We can take questions from the audience if there are any. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, just a quick question in relation to the challenges on scalability, customer support, etc. How's Binance looking to sort of private LLMs and OpenAI to sort of integrate into what you, basically to assist you to deal with all these challenges?
So we're already using AI, for example, for customer support, like the usual questions to try and get them out. But let me tell you a different story about AI. One of the big things that when this AI or when the technology came about, developers started using it. And developers started to send snippets of their code to an AI to improve it. You got to be very careful with that kind of thing. And actually we are, so the story that I want to tell is that actually we had this problem that people were using external AI systems. We saw it. We wanted to prevent that from happening because, I mean, what's the most secret thing of our source code, right? So that shouldn't be going outside. So we did our own implementation of ChatGPT, and we now have Safu GPT internally, and you can interact with Safu GPT and you know it's like inside the company without going outside. So just a little anecdote about or the challenges about adopting this AI in our kind of setting.
Well, I think all large platforms are integrating like generative AIs in general, and we will sorry.
I'm sorry. Go on.
And we will see what kind of results we have, because I could give you our numbers right now, but it's only the first year of implementation. So now 15% of the requests that are open thanks to this AI, like generative AI system, gets solved. But there is no basis to compare it with the previous year or whatever. So I'll wait for next year to have updated numbers to see if it's actually doing better or less over time.
Maybe just to touch on, there will be definitely a different kind of challenges when it comes to generative AI, and especially when it comes to identity theft. I think that kind of problem would be a very serious one when it comes to identifying the individuals on onboarding platforms, but that would be at a different level. That will be the ident or other services.
There is another conference for that.
Okay, very interesting, but God save us all. I hope we'll have something in place until then.
Yes, so we're running a bit out of time now, so we can discuss, ask questions of speakers behind the door. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.